So that was, of course, Anya when she realizes that not only did she miss meeting her uncle Yuri, but after reading Loid's mind, finds out that Yuri is a member of the Estonian secret police. And of course, all this happens in episode 9 of Spy Family, which came out a couple of days ago on Crunchyroll. And if you haven't seen it, I would suggest that you take a look at it if you have a membership there. And I enjoyed episode 9 a lot. Of course, the obvious reason is the rip-roaring, hilarious comedy that we see in the first half. And this, of course, was very much anticipated by all of the viewers because it answers the cliffhanger that we saw in episode 8, which was, will Loid be able to kiss Yor? And the answer, you should go see it if you haven't. And it was extremely hilarious, which of course gave a lot of enjoyment to the viewers for episode 9. However, the reason I really like episode 9 is what happens in the second half of this episode. And the reason for this is because the second half revolves around a certain theme and the relationship between Loid and Yor. And that theme is trust. And it was interesting because as this went along, people were enjoying the wholesome nature of how the second half was resolved and the trust and the bonding was strengthened. But what was interesting is many of the viewers thought that Loid was being too untrustworthy of Yor and that he should open his heart up to her. But to be honest, why I thought that this was a very interesting episode was the fact that Tatsuya Endo did not move in that direction and in fact had Loid distrust Yor. And it's understandable based upon realizing that her brother was a member of the Estonian secret police. Probably the most dangerous faction to someone like Loid. And so it of course will naturally create a doubt in whether Yor had naturally created a relationship with Loid, or was this a plant by the enemy faction to collect intel by someone that they may have already identified as Agent Twilight? He was not sure, and this created a significant amount of anxiety in him, and it made him, for the short term, question Yor's trust. It also made him realize that he absolutely had to find out. He could not just go by his heart. And so he created a plan to figure that out, which is the second half of this episode. And with the help of Frankie and using his disguise, he challenged Yor to see whether she will buckle under pressure and state that her brother is a member of the Estonian secret police. What Loid finds out is that not only does she not know, but she defends both Loid and Yuri against the potential investigation by the Estonian secret police by stating that if something were to threaten either of those two, she would take those opponents on with absolute force and no mercy. And it's at that point when Loid realizes that Yor would actually take on the most powerful militant force of Estonia to protect those two people that he hopefully could trust Yor. And the reason why I found this to be very interesting is many of the people who watch Spy Family fall under the understanding that this is a very wholesome and cute and very fun sort of series, which it is. But the whole story revolves around espionage and deception. And as trusting as all three characters are, Loid, Yor, and Anya, all three are putting up a false front. None of them are being straightforward with their identity. And considering this entire relationship revolves around an extremely tense situation that's going on between the East and the West, and that Yor and Anya most likely are from the East, while Loid is a plant from the West, the whole situation turns out to be absolutely deceptive and potentially extremely dangerous. And so under that situation, if you take a character like Loid, who has spent all his life not trusting people and by doing so surviving his missions, you could understand why he did what he did. Though viewers may say he should be more trusting of these other people, that will be out of his character to who he is. He doesn't want to create blind trust. He wants to create trust where he understands why he can trust these individuals. And so that relationship is growing. But at the same time, we as viewers know things that even Loid does not. That neither Anya or Yor is actually putting up a true front. Yor is an assassin of the Eastern country and potentially maybe of an enemy faction of Loid's. So this may potentially explode into a very difficult situation, and knowing how well this story is written, you can almost see the storm coming up. And I am absolutely glad that Tatsuya Endo isn't breaking down these characters for the sake of wholesomeness. These characters are wholesome because they are caring of the relationship, but the story is a tense one, and Tatsuya Endo never has stated otherwise that this is a tense situation. Yor has killed people, so has Loid, and Anya has witnessed people who have died right from the very beginning episode. And so it'll be interesting to see how this series moves forward. But this episode creates a very important point, which is that as wholesome and as caring as these individuals are, their story and their plot is moving forward in a way that it is going to create a very tense relationship. And considering each one of these characters is very loyal to their faction, it will be interesting to see how this comes out. It may end up in a situation where they either have to become disloyal to their faction or carry out a mission that goes against another member of the family. And it'll be at those points that I hope Tatsuya Endo absolutely does not pull punches and creates the extreme, tense, and very, very dangerous situations. Now, of course, for episode 10, the anime will take another turn and go back to the comical, ridiculous nature. And knowing what chapter it corresponds to, I would have to say that the next episode is probably the strangest episode out of the 10 so far. But this is the episode 9 discussion for Spy Family. Did you find this episode to be very interesting for the same reasons I did? And did you think that Loid was being too distrustful of Yor? And should he open himself up? For anybody who comments, I thank you in advance. And in any case, happy anime watching. And as always, Jaya, nice day everyone.